The rain had not stopped for 6 days when Wei Chen finally put down the shovel and screamed at the sky. Picture him there, mud to his knees, palms split open and bleeding into the soil, staring at a patch of earth that showed nothing. No shoot, no stem, not even a crack in the dirt to suggest something was trying to live beneath it. Just black soil and rain, and a man on his knees who had given everything he had to a seed that refused to prove it was alive. He was 34 years old, and he was certain, in that moment, that he had wasted the last 4 years of his life. This is where our story begins, not with triumph, but with a man who believed he had failed, and what happened to him over the next year would force him to confront a truth so uncomfortable, so contrary to everything he'd been taught about hard work and reward, that it would nearly break him before it remade him. Let's go back further. 3 years earlier, Wei had been a rising architect in Chengdu, the kind of man whose drawings made senior partners nod slowly in approval. He built things that people could see. A wall went up, and by evening you could touch it. A roofline took shape. Within a week, the building had a silhouette against the sky. Progress to Wei meant visible progress. It meant proof, but visible proof was exactly what his life had stopped giving him. His father had died the winter before, after a long illness that Wei had watched consume him 1 week at a time. A slow erosion with no dramatic moment, just 1,000 small losses that never once felt like an ending, until suddenly it was one. And somewhere in those final months, sitting beside a hospital bed and watching a strong man become fragile in ways that didn't show up on any monitor, Wei had started asking a question he couldn't shake. What was he building his life toward? And would he even recognize it when it arrived? He quit the firm 4 months later. Everyone told him it was grief talking. Perhaps it was. But grief sometimes tells the truth we've been too busy to hear. He moved to his father's old plot of land in the countryside outside of Ya'an, a place thick with fog in the mornings and cicadas in the evenings, and he decided, almost impulsively, almost as an act of defiance against a life measured in blueprints, that he would grow something, not a building, something alive. An old neighbor, a woman named Grandmother Lin, who had farmed that hillside for 60 years, gave him a single piece of advice when she heard what he intended to plant. "If you grow moso bamboo," she said, not looking up from the tea she was pouring, "you will spend 4 years watering a patch of dirt that gives you nothing. And if you give up during those 4 years, even on day 1420, you will have given up before it began." Wei laughed. He thought she was exaggerating, the way old people sometimes exaggerate to make a story land harder. She was not exaggerating. He planted the seed in spring. He watered it every single day. He fertilized the soil with the same discipline he once brought to drafting tables. Measured, precise, unwavering. And for the entire first year, nothing happened. No shoot, no stem, nothing but soil that looked, to any outside eye, completely empty. Here is where the ache begins to set in. Because if you have ever poured yourself into something that gave you back nothing but silence, you already know exactly what came next. By the second year, Wei had started to doubt not just the bamboo, but himself. He would kneel in the mud each morning, and something in his chest would tighten, a small, cold voice, asking whether he had traded a real life, a successful life, for a fantasy about meaning that a grieving man had told himself to avoid facing his own uncertainty. His old colleagues sent him photos of finished buildings. Skylines he used to imagine were now skylines he had helped create, visible, permanent, undeniable. And Wei stood on a hillside every evening, watering a patch of dirt that had, for 2 full years, given him absolutely nothing to point to, nothing to show his mother, nothing to show himself. He began keeping a journal, not out of hope, but out of a need to prove to himself later that he had at least tried. The entries from the second year are short, painfully short. Watered again today. Nothing. I don't know why I'm still doing this. By the third year, something in him had gone quiet, in a different way, not peaceful, but resigned. He kept watering the plot because stopping felt like it would confirm something he wasn't ready to admit, that he had thrown away a real career for a hole in the ground. Grandmother Lynn found him there one evening, in the third autumn, sitting in the dirt long after the sun had gone down, not doing anything, just sitting, staring at the earth, as if it owed him an explanation. "You look," she said, easing herself down onto a stone beside him, "like a man who has been